Okay.
Okay.
You you have been living with this in such a and again, my voice is not really good either. So you've been living with this in such a conscious way, an awakened way. Uh, I truly wish I knew more people who are able to navigate this as you have done. I'm curious. Can you speak to that? Being in the reality of having this fatal diagnosis, knowing you're going to die at some point, and yet living your life and doing the things that you've done to continue to live your life. Being in the reality, and yet also the reality of the finality of your life, and yet I'm going to live my life.
Yes. I think it is um it is my spiritual beliefs that will get me as has gotten me through this journey. And because I subscribe to the idea that we are all God energy. Nature is God, all is God. The vessels of the human body are just a costume for God to wear for the purpose of that part of God that lies within all of us to be able to evolve uh, in a spiritual, mindful way. So the body is just a vehicle, and it's the spirit that lives forever. I think a lot of people think we are here having a spiritual experience as humans. I would suggest that it is more of a spiritual experience housed in a human body, which are very different phenomena. And because I believe in reincarnation and that the lives we live are, frankly, uh, coordinated contract agreed upon with God in advance of our incarnation, that life and those experiences are programmed in for us to encounter with multiple opportunities. Finally get the message once you hit on the head long enough. So we are here just to learn and to evolve. So when we arrive with purpose.
Mm.
And as a midwife and lactation consultant, I one of was the first to see the variation in the souls that have come through,
Mm.
and was a while into my career before I put that all together
Mm.
like this. So that little baby is here for a tapestry of a life which will unfold as his or her entrance, so is true for the exit of their lives. So it has been agreed upon that there is a time and there is, which I believe can be altered across time, but there is an endpoint that I have participated in, and the lessons inherent for me in ALS I have to be learn how to be still.
To be still. To be still.
I could never sit still.
Can I hold you at the to be still? I just want to wrap up what I'm hearing you say. In essence, as I see it, succinctly, we are so much more than our body.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So much more. We have a soul. We have spirit, and we have very similar beliefs. And that when the babies that you midwifed into this world, that you birthed, and along with your own children that you birthed into this world. What was I going to say? They have what I'll call a soul journey, something to fulfill.
Absolutely.
And is it predestined? Yeah, I think so. And so we do have a certain amount of time here. And I think you'll concur with this. For me, we're born into this world to be of service. And unfortunately, I think what happens is through our parenting, because all parents aren't awakened, but for those parents who are, they're able to mentor and guide their children to be of service, to find their path in the world.
Right.
Yes, I just wanted to share those pieces. Now, to be still, you pick it up from there about being still.
Yeah. Impossible for me to be still. Meditation, yoga, monkey mind. So being still with ALS is to really, without being tortured by the reality of its limitation, you are obligated to stay in the moment right now. Because when you step out of the moment, that's where terror lives. That's where horror and pain live. And it has shown me that being still as how you can be being present lends itself to being still. So it was a gun to the head opportunity to learn this lesson.
To be still.
To be still. And that at the end of our lives, we participate in our exit. So because of that, I had a hand in this exit, ALS, if you will. And therefore, because I take responsibility, I have no one to rail at with anger. It's what I agreed to do. So I never had the anger issue or the blame issue that people have. So to be able to do this journey with consciousness is, quite honestly, I know I am being watched very carefully by the gods upstairs.
Yeah.
I know my experience with Ayla is to impact the lives of others in ways they would never expect or anticipate.
So you have your God, your allies, and your guides, correct? Thank
Absolutely,
you. Yes,
absolutely.
it's
And, yeah, and I guess where faith is tested is when you give it up to the higher power. The human being in us wants to take it back, thinking we have a larger sense of what will be in our best interest. So once you've given it up, it is entrusting that the outcome will ultimately serve me. And all I can do is stay present and remain in service as long as I can.
and how has your way in navigating this with all the awareness you have with the awakened and conscious being that you are? Because I see this, if you could speak to it. Um, how does that um, how does that affect, how does your family touch into that? Can you
Um,
speak to that?
sure. I have two children. My son, who is a musician, a huge hearted, giving, loving being, is on board with my framework of spirituality. So when I tell him, that honestly will be the best day of my life when I'm gone, because I can really be free. And I don't have to live in a body filled with decay and to be the witness of that. So I'm all about dying as soon as I possibly can. And they, my family, are all about that too, because they don't want me to suffer. And I see the suffering in their eyes. It's like the gift of the Magi. The woman with long hair cut her hair by a gold chain for her husband's gold watch. He sells his watch to buy her combs for her hair. And so it is that reciprocal love that is hard, breakingly strong and resilient, but so fragile. So the hardest thing we will all have to do is say goodbye, but for the greater and larger good. And that suffering of anticipatory grief will be over.
You
And
mentioned
that,
anticipatory grief. Anticipatory grief, yes.
yeah, because everybody is mourning. There is no joy but
And
what you look for.
has your family been able to learn along with you? Have they been able to? I heard what you said about your son, and the word embrace comes to me. because it's hard for people to fathom embracing the end of my life. All right, but that is indeed the reality. Because what I know is many families truly struggle. Many families are witnessing their loved one seriously suffering, physically, emotionally. I mean, it can look many, many ways, right? And it wasn't long ago, I had a gentleman, he just didn't want his wife to die. And she was suffering in a very big way, you know, and she didn't have the capacity to say, I'm really ready to go. He didn't have the capacity to let her know, honey, it's okay to go, because he was getting in the way of her going. Fight, fight, honey, fight. You know, it's like, ooh. So, you know, sometimes when people are trying to exit gracefully and peacefully, family, unbeknown to them, are just pulling them back in, reeling them back in.
Oh, sure. Absolutely, I can see that case in them for the spirit soul is now in horrific conflict. My husband, we have been together for nearly 50 years,
Mm.
and we know we've done lives together before, so we will miss each other terribly, but it's what it is. Life goes on, and you learn from your lesson. Very pragmatic guy. My elbow was crying today, and he laughed and he said, "Where's my tissue?" Like it's a joke that he didn't have tissue with him. And that's how it works. So I don't think my beliefs have really influenced him
Yeah.
at all.
And that's okay. And it's
Absolutely.
okay.
In our earlier life together, he shared these beliefs and has moved on from them. So he gets it, but he doesn't embrace it.
There you go. Okay. You know, end of life, death is so foreign to many of us because, you know, we don't really grow up with lots of conversation, lots of education, lots of awareness. You were a midwife. There's a ton of education around birth, very little around end of life. And again, I get back to, well, here's a young lady that's got this extraordinary mother that's awake and conscious and has done beautiful work in the world. Your daughter has done really good work in the world. And yet she has her own belief system. You know, your spiritual practice didn't, what's the word I want? Didn't, you know, she wasn't able to take that in, but your son has. So I rest my case. We're each born with a different soul. Right? And, you know, so there's no guarantees in how we navigate the life that we live, you know, but what she does have, she had a mother that taught her right from wrong and a father that taught her right from wrong. To me, that's the only thing a parent can do.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Wow. So, where are you at as you sit in silence, as you pause? You know, the word pause has been big for me lately. And sharing with our team the importance of pausing when someone is speaking, when we're listening, to really take it in rather than have to talk right away, you know, or to share what we think we know. Because I'm reminded there's so much I don't know.
Absolutely.
Where do you sit with the inevitability of your death?
We had a break in connection Can you repeat that?
Yeah, where do you sit with the inevitability of your death? You've been dancing your dying for a long time, more consciously than most I know.
I can't wait to get out of this body.
Really?
This body as soon as I possibly can. I have needed to survive long enough to be reassured that my kids are going to be okay. And they're all going to be okay. I know my husband will be okay. And from within, irrevocably, okay, this is going, my fasting will rock their bones. I'm counting on them to be able to get to the business of grieving my loss, anticipating my loss. And for my daughter, it will make it so much more. It will help my daughter. My son will miss me because we share a different relationship and we mentor one another. So he is losing more than a mother.
Yes. But in hearing that, my hunch is he'll find someone else along the way with those qualities,
Mhm.
you know, because, you know, that's where he's comfortable.
Mhm.
You know, you've been an awesome teacher for one another, right? So that would be my hunch. Do you anticipate living your life until you die and allow things to unfold however they may unfold? Or have you contemplated the idea, the concept of fasting?
Let's say that last word.
Or have you contemplated the notion of stopping nutrition, of fasting?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I came into ALS expecting that's how it was going to go down. The airway, the speech changes weren't on my radar. So I'm having a hard time swallowing liquids and getting solids down. I think it will be my airway that takes me out before fasting and dehydrating. Um, I didn't want to. Um, I felt like I had control of the end this whole time in declaring I will fast and dehydrate. But I think that was pretty presumptuous of me and disregarding the plan that really is out there. And so I think because eating is getting to be such work and swallowing pills is so difficult, it won't be hard to say, I'm done. Not for the purpose of starving and dehydrating, but just because I'm too tired.
Well, the possibility exists that people with ALS eventually lose the ability to swallow. That's what happened with Gordon. He lost the ability to swallow. In other words, he couldn't swallow anything. And when that occurred, we realized this is it. So Gordon was a very large man, and it took him about 2 weeks to pass away. But yeah, it was almost 2 weeks to the day. And one of the things I learned from that, because I didn't know people actually had a choice. He didn't consciously choose to stop eating. He just couldn't eat anymore. And he didn't have a feeding tube, didn't want one.
Right.
So, and those are the choices that people make, whether they say yes to that or no to that, or yes to basic ventilation or no to it. What does it look like to say yes? What does it look like to say no?
Right. Right.
And yeah, in his case, he never made those choices. So the importance of being able to have these conversations. Many people I've met have no idea that they have a choice, right? You know? So.
Yeah. And I work at a hospice involved and plan on being medicated for anxiety or air hunger or whatever it is.
It's quite possible. It's quite possible, because I've seen it. Those people who have very much danced their dying, have done the inquiry, have become familiar with the reality of their mortality. In those cases like you, people who've done the work, who are in the reality of their circumstance, when it has come time to pass away, it was rather quick.
I would
sometimes with no medication. It's almost like, I'm ready, come get me.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen it. So.
And I believe once the ball gets going, I think it will go quick.
Yeah, and hospice will treat your symptoms. If you need medication, you'll have it. And again, if my view on dying is no one should ever pass away in physical distress, ever, or pain, or there should be suffering. That's why we have meds. Sometimes meds are certainly required to make someone comfortable. Sometimes no meds at all are required, which is a very beautiful thing. Some people have a notion that they want to die consciously, and if that's possible, beautiful. But some of the biggest scholars I know, biggest spiritual people found, well, there was a lot more for me to learn, because it was kind of hard. Because they didn't die, and they saw how hard it was. But that's the mystery, the unknown. And you will create the right team to be with you, and you will create your own circumstances, and you will be loved and supported.
Yes. I've already talked to hospice, actually met today, because I want them to be able to understand my voice and know me a little bit. I don't want people, doesn't want people tripping in and out. We don't need that. But when it's time, we want those supports in place.
Yeah.
And we want to know the RN that will be taking care of me. So we just put down.
Did you have the conversation with them? Did you have a conversation with them that it's possible I'll stop nutrition? I'll stop eating. Good. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All hospices, as you know, are not created equal.
Yeah, this one's good.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. This is the ultimate party. This is the ultimate rite of passage, is our death, right? The ultimate of ultimate. And you can create whatever circumstance you want, and you can create a beautiful vigil if you want. And it can look however you want. You can have no one there but your family, or you can have many people. It's so different for everybody. You know?
One thing about dying of starvation, dehydration, without meds, I would never put my family to be witness to that.
Okay.
I don't want them to see any to
I'm,
suffer.
I'm going to invite you to change some words. Okay. I'm going to invite you. You can choose to do this or not. I'm going to invite you not to use the word starvation. Okay. What was the other word you used?
Dehydration.
Dehydration. Because those can be scary words
Oh
for
yeah.
people. For people. Oh, you're going
Uh,
to starve yourself to death? No, you're not starving yourself to death. One, I'm going to make the assumption your appetite isn't the way it used to be, correct? Okay, so your body for a long time has already been slowing down. The majority of the time, that's the case, certainly not always, you know? And again, you know, they will treat your symptoms with medication to make you comfortable if you need. But again, I'm reminding you, I got stories upon stories that people, Ron, I'm going to stop eating tomorrow. A day and a half later, they were gone. Okay, no meds required. So you won't know until you're there, right?
Right.
And then there are circumstances where people need a great deal of meds, okay? And in those circumstances, I mean, no one wants to see their loved one suffering, okay? Do they? Yes. Why? You know, well, sometimes it happens, and it happens because people aren't paying attention, right? That's why there's meds, to make sure there isn't that. And then for me, if people need a great deal of meds, because if you're on morphine or whatever the drug of choice is for every 4 hours, at some point it's going to need to be every 3 hours, and at some point probably every 2 hours, because your body becomes immune. And if you're having physical symptoms, you know, what do you do?
Right.
So in an active dying process, from my perspective, well, can we give him enough medication so he can go into a sleep place, and can we please keep him there? If it's my loved one, that's what I want for them, because there's no reason for physical distress or suffering. None. Ready? That's what makes it hard, not just on the individual, but also the family.
Oh, I don't think that will be a problem.
So good. And again, I wouldn't use the word starvation with the family. That's just me. Okay, because that can be a scary word. Okay? Just
Okay.
me. So do you have any, and we'll wrap up shortly here, your care besides your family, do you have any other care in the home? Just your family.
My
And
husband
so,
and son,
so
most
from your wisdom place, because other people have come in your home, right? Whether they gave you physical help or not. But from your wisdom place, what do you think is important for caregivers to know about someone who is not actively dying yet, but is dying soon, living with ALS?
well, I guess it would be to have available to them whatever comfort measures and services that they need. You know, uh, our family can meet those needs between the four of us.
But speak to me about the importance of silence, the importance of pause,
The
the
importance
importance of silence, the importance of pause, the importance of being present, of listening, of not getting in the way. All the attributes that I think are important for caregivers.
yeah.
You know.
Well, honestly, I'm it's pretty much meets every need, but it is not but, and it is just an additional set of needs already on a pretty busy plate. So my idea about timing, prioritizing those needs is probably our largest area of conflict. And I know, man, I'm a patient woman, and I know where the line is when I can't breathe. I have to pee quick, and those can't wait. Everything else will wait.
Hmm.
So it's me mostly.
Well,
And
it is you, and everyone's different. That's why the skill set of people who are carers is so important. What works well here is not necessarily working over here because of people's different personalities and their different ways and expectations.
yeah, he's not a man that would ever seek out a caregiver support group or any of the counseling offered by MGH. Repeatedly invited, would not do that. I knew that. I've always known that.
Speaking of your husband,
Yeah.
have you told him about the gatherings that we do?
Yeah. And like all of my um uh ponderings and musings and writings kind of belong to me,
Sure.
and I've asked him if he'd like to hear something I've written, and mostly not so much.
Not so
Yeah,
much.
and that's okay. But I've been writing for a year and a half, pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
would understand why.
yeah, it's hard to hard to guess. It's hard to what comes to me from any. It's like the gentleman whose wife is suffering. He wouldn't let her go. And let her know it's okay to let go. I don't want her to die. I don't want her to die. My question is then, well, would you say that she's suffering? Oh God, yes, she's suffering. My next question is, why do you want her to continue suffering? Right? So for a lot of men, I think our feelings and emotions are just so deep. If you were to hear one of your writings, he might end up on the floor completely out of control, which from my perspective would probably be a beautiful thing. But what is beautiful is he's got incredible depth, and you guys have been together for over 50 years. And there's something beautiful about that.
Many other lifetime. So this is now not that big a deal.
Yeah,
We're gonna be up again. And when I wrote his letter, I told him to expect a cameo appearance.
good.
So heads up.
Tell them all to pay attention. Tell them to pay attention.
I've told them.
Good.
So, so
Beautiful.
it's okay. I forgot. I just said, all right, Deb, come on home, because I'm done.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing with me.
You're welcome.
You're a very important person to me,
Oh, thank you.
and I have big love for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks for allowing me in and some of my team in, you know.
Oh, of course.